Alright, I like to start these from the very beginning. That way, if you have not already done so, you can look below this video in the description box and find a link for this program, Stellarium. It's free. There's also a link for your iMac, your Linux, your Android, and a PDF manual on how to use it. When you first launch Stellarium, launch the bottom taskbar. Going from the right to the left, we're going to come across to this icon and turn off the meteor showers. In the next set of symbols, you'll see a lightning bolt. We're going to turn that one on. Then we're going to come across to the sun peeking out behind the clouds, the cardinal points in the atmosphere, and turn all that off. In the last set of symbols, you'll see a little running man icon. That's your images. We're going to turn that one on. Going to the left-hand taskbar all the way to the top, 8-pointed star is always a symbol for navigation, ruled by Mercury. Our target city is Melrose Park, Illinois. We just type it in the search bar. It pops up on the list. Make sure the red arrow is pointed in the correct place. Come back down to the running man icon and make sure the name of the city is over his head. Then we can X this box out. Back to the left-hand taskbar to the clock icon. Our target date is June the 21st, 1972. That is the summer solstice. Whoops, I'm making you a lot older than what you are. Of course, I'm sure you're aware it's the summer solstice. This year, last year actually, the summer solstice first, it moved into Taurus. And our time is 8 a.m. I hope that's an accurate birth time. Just click this one on over. I'm going to leave it at 59 and let it clock over here and just set that in the corner. So a solstice baby, you know it takes 9 months, so solstice babies are generally conceived on the fall equinox. Interesting tidbit. Back to the left-hand taskbar, search tool icon, type in the sun, and off we go. And we look into the logistics over here, and it tells us the sun is in Gemini. And it has been for thousands of years. For 2,000 years, the sun has been in Gemini on the winter solstice. Summer solstice. But like I said, 2 years ago, it did move into Taurus. You're a Gemini on the cusp, on the mutable cross. You have Mercury and Mars in your first house. Mercury rules Gemini. Great placement for both. Venus in her house of Taurus. She is at 84 and the sun is at 90. So you would almost consider the sun Venus combust of the sun. But because they're in different houses, you actually get a break from that. Saturn also in Taurus. That will be your lesson in life. We'll get to all of that. We just want to take a quick peek and see where everybody's at. Make sure that Mars is in Gemini. Great. Mars would have been debilitated in Cancer. The moon, Uranus, and I'm going to jump out on a ledge and say Pluto, all in Virgo on the mutable cross. You got a lot of mutable and fixed energy going on. It's illuminated at 76.4% and waxing. Yeah, waxing moon. We'll talk more about that. Jupiter in his own house. You actually have a few planets that are in their own houses, which helps a lot. Jupiter in his house of ideologies. This is your desires, your beliefs. All right. Well, first let's talk about the mutable cross. You're on the mutable cross. In alchemy, the mutable cross is transmutable. We're in a mutable age of Pisces, so it's a time of change, a time of growth, a time of transmutation. That is the adept in alchemy. The mutable cross is the adept, the fixed cross is the master, and the cardinal cross is the grandmaster. That's the order they go in. So it is about change. And it is those born on the mutable cross that bring about the most change. And we depend on that, because without change, there is no growth. Now, you are mutable air, ruled by Mercury. Mercury is your ruling planet. But that's not how people see you. People see you by your moon sign. And your moon sign is Virgo, mutable earth. That's the miry clay. This is what you call the damsel in distress. But because your moon is over here kind of alone, except for Pluto and Uranus, which are the subconscious mind, Pluto and Uranus, the conscious mind. We'll talk about that in a minute. The point being is people they see you more earthy. Gemini represents Buddha. Mercury is Buddha, Thoth, Hermes, Viracocha, Lord Pakal, all of these great wisdom that came down in the age of Gemini. But that's not how people see you. They see you as mutable earth, which is the miry clay. Adam's made from the miry clay. Miry means changeable, mutable, and earth is clay. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's take a quick peek at your rising sign. You're a morning baby. So what we do is turn on the landscape, the cardinal points, and find, that's north, so east. All right. So you basically, in the east here, because of the way the sun belt goes, you would be considered a Cancer rising. Cancer rising here. And you have the unicorn, right? But the ecliptic is here because of the time of the year it is. You're at the solstice. So it rises. Let's kick it up an hour. And you can see how you have Cancer rising. All right. Let's turn that off. So you're a Gemini with a moon sign, an earth sign, and your rising sign is a water sign. So you've got air, earth, and water all right there. And now your Saturn, which rules astrology and alchemy, it's what the chart's really all about. Why you're here, your purpose, your lessons, is also an earth sign. All right, we're going to start with the outer planets. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto move too slowly to be considered even connected to the chakras. They're more like the fates or the destinies. They come in and change things, mix things up. Pluto works in the spiritual world with Saturn. Uranus works in the physical world with Jupiter. Both of these planets are planets of massive transformation. How they do that is when they come into a sign, they take away the old that's related to that sign so that something new can manifest. Pluto, working with Saturn in the spiritual world, is considered the subconscious mind. So he works in a way, well, let me say this about both of these planets first. They're very slow. If you live to be very old, Pluto might come around once in your chart. If you live to be very old. So their alchemy works differently. They will affect you for you, it will be when they're in an earth sign or when they're on the mutable cross. And like I said, their energy is subtle, so it's easy to transmute and channel. And they're slow, so they give you a long time for you to do it yourself. But if you don't do it, both of these planets are like a rubber band, and they're just going to stretch and stretch. But when they get ready to leave a sign, if the alchemy that they required in that sign is not done, then that rubber band's going to break, and it's going to come back and pop the hell out of you. You might want to stop this video here and get a pencil and a piece of paper and take some notes. Firstly, write down Jeffrey Wolf Green. I have a playlist called Jeffrey Wolf Green. He also wrote a book that I don't have. I'm going to send you some books, but I don't have this one. And it's called Pluto, Journey of the Soul. He understands Pluto in a way, because Pluto ain't been around that long. We're just now really beginning to understand Pluto, and alchemy really opens up what Pluto's all about, being the subconscious mind and dealing in symbolism. But even though he wrote about Pluto and all of the signs, he really targeted Pluto in Virgo. And the reason being is because you're a mutable generation. You're the ones that's going to make the change. The change goes all the way back to the Cardinal Cross when Pluto was in Cancer. It's the sign of the destroyer. It was the age of World War II. And it was that war mentality. They say who started the fire? Leo, fire. Pluto and Leo, that generation, the baby boomers, they started the fire. But it is Pluto and Virgo. You're the generation that's actually going to make the change. You're going to stand up and do something about it. And the alchemy works. Your alchemy is working now, because Pluto is currently on the mutable cross in fire. And it's a time of Pluto going in to take away old ideologies and old belief systems so that something new can manifest. And Pluto will continue to affect you into 2020 when it moves into an Earth sign. And this is when the manifestation begins. When Saturn and Jupiter meet, the door to the Black Lodge opens. The Black Lodge is the subconscious mind ruled by Pluto. When Saturn and Jupiter meet, it sets the stage for the next 20 years in our personal lives, our family lives, up to our states, and even our collective consciousness, or in this case, the collective unconscious. So it's very important for your generation to do the alchemy of Pluto in fire. It's required of you because it's the mutable cross. It's time to do your shadow work and clean up your old ideologies. That way in 2020, when Saturn and Jupiter meet and Pluto's there on the winter solstice opposite your natal chart, you will have two things are going to happen. You're either going to manifest the monsters of the id, your worst nightmare, or your daydreams. And because it's the subconscious Pluto there, we're more likely to manifest the monsters of the id. If you don't know what that is, you can watch the movie Forbidden Planet. Excuse me, I think it was done back in the 70s, the early 70s, actually, about the time you were born. They made this movie, and it's about manifesting the monsters of the id. So, Pluto's alchemy is currently affecting you and will continue to affect you until it moves onto the fixed cross in Aquarius. So there's going to be a lot of change in your subconscious mind. The subconscious deals in symbolism, Pluto, to where Uranus, the conscious mind, deals in alphabets, right? We deal with language. But Pluto don't work that way. So it's really important for you to learn symbolism, the correct symbolism, and the correct emotions that go with those symbolisms. A lot of the symbols that we have been inverted. We've been given good for evil and evil for good. So I'm going to send you some charts and books to help you out. All right, let's see if Pluto is retrograde. How we do that is come over here to the logistics, and you'll see longitude, latitude, J2000.0. Our numbers are 1794404.5, we're going to watch the 4404.5 kick it up a day. And it went up, so it is not retrograde. Before I get to Uranus, I want to talk about these two again, about how they do what they do and how dangerous they can be. When they get ready to leave a sign and you ain't done that alchemy and that rubber band breaks, Pluto in the spiritual world, you can get a phone call and the person you love the most is in the hospital in emergency surgery and they don't expect them to make it. And your whole world comes crumbling down. Or you just bought a new house and then you get fired from your job. Now you have this mortgage. You will get life-changing shit that will just rip your world apart. Uranus works the same way. If you don't do the alchemy when it gets ready to leave a sign, what it will do, it can be like a tornado. And just come in and 1 minute your house is there and the next second it's just freaking gone. All of it, everything, down to dirt. Just gone. Blue everywhere. No hope of retrieval. So it's necessary that we pay attention to where these two are. Now, Uranus for you, the planet of outer transformation in the physical world, is currently on the mutable cross. And then it's going to move into fire and you're going to get a break. It had spent quite a bit of time on the mutable cross, so you've already had the transformation of Uranus, because what it's doing is it came retrograde back into Pisces to finish the job. And now it's going forward again, and it will be in Pisces until March of 2019. So you've got a little bit more change here to do that will be wrapped up in March. And then the physical change in your life, that's going to be done for at least a decade. You won't feel the effects so much of Uranus in Aries because it's cardinal fire and you are mutable earth. So here, the change. When you talk about water, you're talking about peoples. The water in Cancer, the people in your family. The water in Scorpio is the people you choose in your life, your best friends, your lovers. But the water in Pisces are the people you work with, the people you go to school with, the people you see every day, the lady at the grocery store behind the cash register, right? You don't hang out with them, but you see their faces on a regular basis. Associations. And here it's purging associations. Get rid of old to make room for new. So another way, it's our social media accounts. It's time to go in and purge out channels we are no longer in like mind with, or that are no longer posting. Clean up your Facebook. You choose who's eliminated, or the choice is made for you. And it's that way. This is how these planets work in these signs. It gives you plenty of time you make the choice. But if you don't, they will be made for you. Uranus. Are you retrograde? Our numbers are 1212238 We're watching the 22389. That's not right. Where did I even get that number? Our numbers are 1943428. We're watching the 34208. Where did I get those numbers? 34208 went up, so not retrograde. And that's okay. The outer planets can actually benefit you retrograde because they're not connected to the chakras. Uranus is a planet of rebellion anyway. That's how it gets its change done. But a good way of understanding how this energy works for transformation in the physical world, say you want a new couch. You can't get a new one till you throw the old one out. So it comes in and it takes away and then gives a new one. Pluto in Sagittarius, the house of ideologies, he's there taking away old belief system, old philosophy, old ideology to make way for something new. it's like growing up and believing in Santa Claus and then finding out Santa Claus is not real. And then we grow up and tell the same lie to our children. Or growing up in the church and then finding out it's Bible, bibble, babble, mistranslated doctrine, and we leave the church, but we carry the same prejudices based on false programming from false doctrinal interpretation with us. We still judge people based on those 10 commandments, when that is not the God of our Father in heaven. That's the fire God. Once we learn the separation of them, we also have to learn to put off that way of thinking, because something new is coming. And it's coming in 2020, on the winter solstice. All right, let's move to Neptune. Neptune is underrated. It has a couple of jobs. Neptune is considered the imagination. He likes being in Scorpio. People try to associate Neptune with Scorpio, saying he rules this, but no, this is the imagination. The reason he likes being here is because it's a passionate sign. This is the sign of make love, not war. And imagination is all tied, and fantasy is all tied up in that. So very much likes being here. If Neptune was exalted in a sign, it would be this one, because of its imaginative skills. Now, Neptune's alchemy is unique among all of them because he is the imagination. He's considered to work in the spiritual world with Saturn, but he also works in the physical world with Jupiter. He's like the middleman. The imagination is the go-between between the non-spiritual and the tangible world. When Neptune is in the same cross or in the same element as Saturn, you'll have the greatest, most creative ideas you've ever had in your life. And then you begin to work on them as Neptune moves. And when it comes on the same cross or in the same element with Jupiter, those ideas will begin to manifest into the physical world. Now, this alchemy can take months, years, or even decades, depending on where these planets are. But if they're all on the same cross or in the same element at the same time, the manifestation can happen rather quickly, a few days or weeks. If they're all in the same house, then it can happen instantaneously. Just like Saturn and Jupiter and Pluto are all going to be in the same house on the winter solstice of 2020, so you will manifest the subconscious mind. If Saturn and Jupiter and Neptune were all in the same house at any time, that manifestation would come instantly, because the door to the Black Lodge opens and the imagination is there, and you have a better chance of manifesting your daydreams. Neptune. Now, Neptune has another job. We'll get to that shortly. Let's see if Neptune is retrograde. Our numbers are 243-33087. We're watching the 33087. Yes, Neptune retrograde. So you do have an overactive imagination. You fantasize, you daydream. They call this a natural-born daydreamer. So this is going to help you in 2020. Now you have some ammunition that you can override your subconscious if you do your shadow work and manifest your daydreams instead of your nightmares. All planets have a flip side. Here, Neptune retrograde, you don't pay much attention in school. You can fall behind in your grades because you're more of a daydreamer. You're not paying attention. You're staring out the window. You're all in your head. And then you get called on and you don't know what's going on because you're somewhere else. You're daydreaming. Later in life, this can manifest as you can be sitting having a conversation with somebody. You're looking them straight in the eye. You're going, yeah, uh-huh. But you're not hearing anything they say. It's what you call lip service because you're somewhere else. You're all in your head. So there are good things about it that you can manifest. You cannot manifest if you don't have an imagination. So there's the good sides and the bad sides of this. More to Neptune shortly. We've done the outer planets. Let's go to the inner planets. Mercury in his own house. So he's the real Buddha here. This is the real Hermes. This is somebody who speaks. I don't like using the word hermetically, but Mercury deals with intelligence, logic, communication, navigation, and commerce. He's the messenger. Buddha was the messenger. Thoth was the messenger. Hermes, it's the messenger with a message. Let's see if Venus, Mercury, and Mars are retrograde. We don't have to look at their logistics. They move quickly, so we can just kick it up a day and see Venus going forward, Mercury going forward. No, Venus going retrograde. My bad. Mercury and Mars going forward. So you have a Venus retrograde. We'll talk about that one next. I want to talk about Mercury and Mars together because they're in the same house. Now, Mercury rules this house, so kudos there. It shows a great sign of intelligence. It's an air sign, which some people would say airhead. But if you really think about it, the airhead is the good kind. Like I said, they've reversed everything. You want to be an airhead. They even make the candy, airheads. And Mars is your actions. It's your root chakra. So it's in a very philosophical place. The opposite sign of Gemini is Sagittarius, the house of ideology and philosophy. Jupiter and Mercury rule the mutable cross. Mercury, your ruling planet, rules Virgo and Gemini, to where Jupiter rules Pisces, religion, and philosophy, Sagittarius. So it's a very philosophical cross. Jupiter will benefit you greatly. Sagittarius and ideology and philosophy will benefit you greatly because it's opposite your birth sign. Your opposite sign is your nemesis, but it's also where you can find the greatest help. It's like enemies that have to become friends to get the job done kind of thing. So everything here is dualistic. There's that double side, that double-edged sword to it all. Just as when the Hebrews came out of Taurus into Aries, they were told to look up at the fiery serpent on the pole, which is opposite Aries, speaking of Libra. We'll talk more about that in a minute too, because it's going to come up. So good job on Mercury. Mars is good here because it's your actions, your emotions. The only thing I don't like about Mars here is Mars doesn't do well on the mutable cross. He can come off as bipolar and especially in Gemini, because it's so extreme dualistic, that Mars, your emotions, you either go to these extreme highs or these extreme lows. Not a depressed person, that would be a Mars retrograde, but just Mars on the mutable cross, you can go from being super excited to melancholy. Alright, now to Venus, the bad news. You kind of got off lucky because she's in her own house, but close enough to be within 10 degrees of the sun, considered combust. Different astrologers look at it in different ways. To me, it's in different houses. One is masculine, the other's feminine, so she got off scot-free there. That's how I would say that. But because she's retrograde in her own house, you're going to have a problem with love. And it's not just a problem with love because it's in her own house and it's fixed earth. Your love is very bullheaded. It's very fixed. You could be over picky. Taurus is about home. Taurus people, you need to pay attention to this because Saturn is your lesson. And your lesson is going to be your heart and what Taurus has to teach. Now, I'm going to send you a book about the age of Taurus. We'll talk about that. But Saturn here is fixed earth. And Saturn and Venus and Mercury rule all air and all earth signs. The lesson here is really about money. It's about money. A Taurus is frugal. It's about home and saving for the future. A Taurus person is very concerned with security, a roof over their head, and saving for the future. To don't blow your money. They're frugal. They invest it. A Taurus person does not inherit money. They don't win the lottery. They work hard for the money. And they want to keep it, right? They invest it. And they plan for the future. That's Taurus. That's fixed earth. It's settled. It's immovable. And that's going to be your lesson from Saturn. But your heart's tied up in this. So you're going to get heartache. There's going to be what I would call, you have a stubborn heart. Your heart's stubborn. For whatever reason, maybe it'll reveal itself. Now here's the unique thing with what you've got going on here. When you talk about Taurus and Orion, every Freemason temple on the planet has a tracing board with the constellation of Orion on it. Betelgeuse and Soph being the sun pillar, and you have the sun over the sun pillar. That's very prominent place, very powerful place for the sun to be, especially in Freemasonry. And you're going to have to learn this. I'm going to send you a book about this. And Bellatrix and Rigel are the moon pillar. And then there's that ladder going up in the middle of these two pillars. And yours is Venus, your heart chakra. Now, Venus rules Libra, an air sign. Our hearts are torn between heaven, Libra, and earth, Taurus. And so your heart is earth. It's fixed, it's stubborn, it's retrograde, and it's going to cause you problems. But it's also part of your lesson, which is also Saturn. Let's go ahead and before we talk about Saturn, let's go to Jupiter next. Because Jupiter is your belief system, your ideology, your philosophy, and your desires. And it's about expansion and growth. So Jupiter's in his own house. You have Mercury in his own house on the mutable cross, Jupiter in his own house on the mutable cross. Jupiter is so benevolent to you here. Myself, I don't get along with Jupiter. I got Jupiter in Pisces. He also rules that house, but I don't get along with him. But Jupiter is benevolent to you here. Jupiter can actually rescue you at times if you get in a bad way. Now, your belief system is philosophy and ideology. That's what you believe. Your philosophical thought. This is fire. Let's talk about fire. The fire in Aries, ruled by Mars, is that inner fire. In Arabic, it's wallah. It means fire, light, or energy. So it's that inner energy. It's that rage of war, Aries, that fire. The fire in Leo is like the halo. It's the famous people. It's the house of the sun. It's that outer light, that Shekinah glory, the halo. Famous people, superstar. But the light here is the light in the mind. It's the illuminated mind. It's the philosopher's stone. It's philosophy. And so that's where your belief system is. Now, when you look at a natal chart, it generally covers the first 30 years of your life. It will affect you your whole life, but we change. Saturn rules alchemy, and he does it on 30-year Saturn returns. Is your Jupiter retrograde? Our numbers are 274, 14354. We're watching the 14354. Yeah, you caught a Jupiter retrograde. This is good, actually. Jupiter retrograde helps because not only is he in the sign of the philosopher, because he's retrograde, you think outside of the box. So you've got this great intelligence, Mercury. You're this Buddha who can just shit pearls of wisdom at will. And you have the illuminated retrograde Jupiter in Sagittarius, being able to not only be philosophical, but to not be confined, able to think outside of the box, very expansive, which is going perfect with your imagination. Neptune retrograde. This chart's looking pretty good. It's got its ups and downs. Right now, the only thing I'm seeing that's bad is your Venus. You'll have problems there. But now we're back to Saturn. And the thing to see is Saturn retrograde. This is the big one. You don't want this. Let me get him in a spot I can see the numbers. Our numbers are 7304256. We're watching the 04256. Not retrograde. So good news there. That would have been devastating, especially to have Venus also retrograde there. Before I talk more about Saturn, something occurred to me about the Sun I need to say to you, and that it's Gandanta, and that means it feels like it's drowning because it's between two signs. We call that Gandanta, and to me it goes back to the Exodus. In the Egyptian, the flock is the Pleiades, and they come out of Egypt or Taurus into Asia or Aries, and they have to cross the Red Sea. They go from earth to fire, but it's like jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, but they have to cross through water. They've got a wall of water on either side of them. They go across on dry ground, but they feel like they're drowning. They're Gandanta. Even though there's no water there, right? There's no water there. But that's why. That's where that saying comes from. So, to be stuck between two signs, Gandanta. And you've got enough Saturn in the crown chakra of the bull, that you're going to be bullheaded. You're going to show aspects of Saturn. Especially aspecting this moon over here. And now your moon, I'm going to tell you, you're a bit of a loner. You're all in your head. Your moon is stuck over here with your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And nobody else is around. No other chakras around. You're a loner. You're all inside your head. Now this can be an only child, a middle child, somebody that just don't get noticed. The baby gets the attention, the older one's the boss, and there you are stuck in the middle. But it can also just be an introvert, especially with your Neptune retrograde, somebody that's all off in their head like that. Jupiter in Sagittarius, somebody that's all off in their head like that. Mercury being Buddha, somebody that's all off in their head like that. You way overthink everything. That's another thing about Virgo here, the analytical side. And this is how people see you. They probably see you as you overanalyze everything. One thing I can say, at least your subconscious and your conscious mind are on the same plane, right? In your natal chart. That helps. That's balanced within. In the mind, anyway. They walk hand in hand. So, bit of an introvert, hermit, loner type person. You're one thing, you hide. You hide. You hide. You hide what you really are. Now that might change. When we come to your first Saturn return, we'll see how all that plays out. Now Saturn rules alchemy and astrology. And he rules karma. He's got a payoff. And he's got lessons to learn. That's what all this is about. And he's got 2 lessons for you. It's going to be about your heart and the aspects of Taurus. And the other thing is his hidden hand, Neptune. Wherever Neptune is another lesson that must be learned. And Saturn's going to give you 30 years to do it. So you have to learn about Scorpio on the fixed cross and its opposite sign, Taurus, on the fixed cross. So you're talking about the heart chakra in earth and the root chakra in water. Now Scorpio, the lesson of Scorpio. I'm going to just go ahead and give it to you, being as you've already had your first Saturn return. The lesson of Scorpio is about friends, lovers, and best friends. The upper house of Scorpio is Hercules. Hercules finds out halfway through the movie the king he's working for is the frickin' bad guy. Right? He's got to reassess everything. You keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Right? It's about loyalty. It's about secrets. Again, this is water, and it's not people you choose your friends here. We don't choose our family, Cancer, but these are people you choose in your life, and they're going to be a lesson for you to learn. You're going to you're going to find the people that's closest to you will stab you in the back, betray you, and be that rotten, ugly king that Hercules has to wake up and find out, oh, this is not the good guy. This is the bad guy, right? Go watch Hercules and get a load of how that character has to adapt and overcome. So your two lessons are on, even though you're the mutable cross, and it's where all your power is, your lessons are the fixed cross. And the Gnostic Gospels, that's called the unshakable race of humanity. Those born on the fixed cross are in the age of the fixed cross, which we're actually coming into. We're Gundant, just like you, between two ages, between water and air, Pisces and Aquarius. That's where we are. We're knocking on that door. We're Gundanta right now. The whole world is. And as a matter of fact, your Neptune is Gundanta between Libra and Scorpio. It's between those two signs right there. So, another planet that feels like it's drowning when there's even, and this is water, right? This is water. So you need to choose carefully your friends and your enemies. Lesson, Neptune. Lesson, Taurus. Home, saving, money, work. Work hard for the money. And problems with the heart. What I'm seeing here is your heart's going to be in the way. You will make a bad decision and choose the heart over the career. You'll probably choose love over career, and it's going to backfire. Let's go see how that plays out, if that does indeed play out. So we come to your first Saturn return. He's give you 30 years to learn the lesson of a debilitated retrograde heart, a combust retrograde, not debilitated. Combust means oppress. Somebody's oppressing the heart. And retrograde means the chakra's running backwards, and you're simply going to have a hard time at love. It could be you have a hard time loving, or you feel unloved, right? You don't feel like you're getting the love you need as a child. All right, so now, like I said, Saturn works in 30-year increments. When you say, what is your first Saturn return? To me, it's Jesus started his ministry at 30 years old. That's your first Saturn return. It's a rite of passage. It's a time of initiation. Now you get to be initiated into the mysteries. And that's the way the mystery schools work too. You can't get in if you're not 30. So it's your first Saturn return. And he gives you 30 years to learn the lessons of Taurus and Scorpio. And then whatever that attributes to, you find out what your purpose is, what your mission is, what your ministry is. Also, like I said, it's a rite of passage. It's the true age of accountability. Now you're considered a true adult. It's the time in your life where your parents are no longer taking care of you or helping you out. Actually, you switch roles, and now it's time for you to start taking care of your parents. And it's a way up ranking in the mystery schools, in alchemy. So what we do is let's lock on Saturn. Let's get our birth time back to 0 hour. And we'll write down Saturn's logistics and take off into the future. I'm going to put it at 59. It's clocking over to 8 a.m. Get my pen. Saturn's numbers are 7304, 73.04.15.3. So 73.04.15.3. I'm sorry I had to lean away from the mic to do that. I hope you heard me. Now that we got his logistics, we're going to kick him off into the future 30 years, bring him back to this spot, go to your first Saturn return, and find out what's going on with you. Off we go. Our numbers are 7304. Down 1. 7304 153. Oop, I went too many. And a few seconds back. And we're there. The date, August the 11th, 2001. Wow, 1 month before 9/11. It's your first Saturn return. Let's see how you've changed. Woo! Already seeing some stuff. You got the moon over here in the eye of Leviathan in Aries. So this is how people see you. And the moon's at 59% and a waning moon there. I mean, in the eye of Leviathan. Jupiter now in Mercury's house. So Jupiter pulled a 180. He went from the top of the from the bottom of your mutable cross to the top. Is Venus still retrograde? No. So you've overcome the retrograde Venus. That's over. No more love problems. So that very well could have been just a child that felt unloved. Moon all by itself, heart retrograde, you didn't feel very loved. Maybe pushed aside even. Jupiter, now you've gone from philosophy and ideology into hermetics. Right? This is now your belief system. Is Jupiter still retrograde? No. So you don't think outside of the box as much as you used to. The moon in its own house of Cancer. This is Mama's house. I'm at the sun. The sun in the house of the moon. In the house of the destroyer. Mama's house. So this is about home. Now you have this huge aspect about the people in your life and home. Mercury in Leo. Mercury in the house of the sun in the house of the moon. Mercury appears to be combustive, the sun here. Again, they're in two different houses. So same thing that was going on before. The sun gundant between two signs. Mercury here, I'm going to talk about this because Mercury in Leo, Mercury in a fire sign, Mercury deals with earth and air. So to have your throat chakra in a fire sign, I call it the fire-breathing dragon. Especially in the fire of Aries, it can come off as really harsh and harmful words. Words that burn people to the ground. Where in Leo here, it can be sarcastic words. Where you're complimenting somebody, but you're really insulting them and they don't know it. Very sarcastic sarcasm. A lot of sarcasm. Hurtful words, fiery attitude here with the throat chakra. So be leery of that. So your sun has moved from mutable air to cardinal water. Mama's house, I call it. This is about family. Let's see where everybody else is at. Mars in his own house. This is Mars make love, not war. Let's see if he's retrograde. No, good news, good news, good news there. Mars is not exalted here, but Mars is a good boy here to be in water. to be the root chakra. He's make love here, right? This is your actions, your emotions, your best friend's secrets. Secrets. You're still the loner. On the mutable cross, Pisces, stuck over here. Well, no, I'm off a day. I mean, he's in Aries. We need to go ahead and talk about what your moon is here, because you're this loner character still, right? You're still all alone, but in a very auspicious place. Let's pull over here to the Egyptian. I want you to see something. Let's go to the Egyptian first. The Pleiades here is the flock. So when the flock came out of Egypt and out of Africa into Asia, they landed in the head of Leviathan. This is called the sheepfold. This is a religious person. This is religion. So people see you as not only religion, but Aries religion. Let me talk about that. What Aries religion is. Let me get my... To me, the beast that comes up out of the water is Cetus. It's Leviathan. The sheepfold right here are the people sitting in the pews. Pisces is the age of religion. This is the Old Testament church fish, black and white Masonic words. This is the New Testament church fish with the red words. This one over here still worships the god of fire and thou shalt not. This one over here worships of our Father who art in heaven, Aquarius, air. But you come off as very religious here. And again, this is the thou shalt not. Fiery. So you're here, and you've got all these new personality traits to deal with. You're always going to be the Gemini, but now you've got this Cancer Gundant Leo, this battle between fire and ice going on with the sun. Between fire and water. So that's the battle of fire and ice there. I love where your Jupiter ended up, your Mars ended up in a great place, your Venus is better. So you're here now. It's your rite of passage. It's your initiation. You're still freaking all alone inside your head. But now it's more connected to your emotions and religion. When you're this philosophical, hermetic person. But that's not how people see you. They see you as this. You may be trying to push your beliefs off on others. That's what this guy does. He's pushy. The ram is pushy. He just keeps coming at you and forcing it on you and forcing it on you. So, what's your purpose now? Why are you here? What's your ministry, your mission? Neptune tells us that. Oh, Capricorn, cardinal Earth. So Saturn's life lesson is Taurus, fixed Earth. You got a lot of mutable Earth going on with your moon, your Uranus and Pluto, but now the lesson is fixed Earth. Let's see if he's retrograde. Our numbers are 307-02-086. We're watching the 02086. Yep, he's retrograde. So, you still got that imagination. Here's the big bonus. The Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in 2020 is happening where your Neptune is in your first Saturn return. You've been given another gift. And again, that's the imagination. Imagination, so that you don't have to manifest the monsters of the id. You have the potential, if you do your shadow work, to manifest your wildest dreams. Shit you never imagined. In 2020. You can override the subconscious mind if you do the shadow work. Now Capricorn is your lesson. So let's talk about Capricorn. I can speak from experience. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm just going to tell you firsthand. To be a pope in the Vatican, You must be a cardinal first. You can't be elected a pope if you're not a cardinal. That actually means being born on the cardinal cross. There are 4 popes: earth, water, fire, and air. Capricorn is the pope of the earth. It's the most high of the earth. Now, the stars in Capricorn are considered lucky stars. They're Djeda in the Arabic. They're Djeda. Dahi Al-Gedi is the Jedi. Deneb Al-Gedi, Deneb, and then Al-Gedi there. Prima Gedi. Prime Gedi. And this is the this is story right here where your Neptune is where Anakin Skywalker walks into the youngling temple and kills all the younglings. First lucky star of the slaughter, upper left-hand corner. These are the ones that got away. They're the lucky ones of the slaughter. Capricorn itself is about Jedis. That's what it is. Capricorn deals, Saturn rules it, number 1. Again, Saturn wants you to learn about Saturn. Your 2 major things seems to be Saturn, Earth, and Venus, which is also Earth. Saturn, Earth, Venus, Earth. Saturn here rules government, military, agriculture, education, police officers, post office. These are civil service jobs. This is where the one serves the many, like a Jedi would, right? The one that serves the many. Saturn also rules Aquarius. Aquarius is the Messiah, the king. They're all the king stars in Arabic. And he said, no man takes my life, I lay it down. It's the one that sacrifices for the all. So whatever Saturn rules, it's about, you're an individual, but I expect you to serve the people. Civil service jobs. That's what your purpose is. You're supposed to be a teacher or a post office. Hell, a waitress even serves the public, right? Even a waitress would do that. But also, our generals, 4-star generals, all generals, they're going to have Capricorn or Saturn in Capricorn or Mars in Capricorn. Especially Mars. Mars is exalted there. I have the Sun, Saturn, and Mars all in Capricorn. Capricorns are organized. They don't want to own the business. They just want to run it. They know where things belong. People on the Cardinal Cross are natural born leaders. And that's what Saturn wants you to learn. They're organized. Capricorns are frugal. They're honest to a fault. They'll tell you the truth even if it frickin' hurts you. They don't do guilt well. Don't get me wrong. I've seen the flip side, Capricorn. My mother was a demon from hell, and she was a Capricorn. Alright, so Capricorn and Taurus are now your lessons. And your purpose. It's civil service. Whether that's military, police, education, waitress, bartender. It's where the one serves the many. Alright, so let's go see how you do. Because Saturn has a payoff. He rules old age and the golden age, along with alchemy, karma, and so because he rules karma, he has a payoff. And because he rules old age and the golden age, those are his payoffs. At your second Saturn return, if you do the alchemy of learning your purpose and what a Capricorn is, to emulate that Capricorn, learn that lesson, be that person, be that leader, then he says, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the golden age. But if you don't, he says, depart from me, I never knew you. And you go into old age. Saturn's already give you double gift with Neptune, twice, with your imagination. and you should be extremely creative. You already have this Mercury, Buddha, Jupiter, Buddha thing going on. So you could easily be a speaker, a writer, write books, paint, some type of art to express all of this shit that's going on in your head. It's all in your head. And now here your heart's tied to it. Now your heart's all involved up in it. You love it. Right? So use that. And the thing about Saturn, Capricorn, and Aquarius is the benefiting of humanity. It's the one serves the many. It's to benefit the whole. A teacher doesn't go to become a teacher to teach her children. She wants to teach the world. Right? A policeman or a fireman, these are jobs where you want to serve everybody, not just yourself. Capricorns are extremely unselfish. They put everybody before they put theirself. And it's detrimental to them sometimes. They're also the scapegoat. Alright? So if you go overboard with it, you end up sacrificing so much, people take advantage of you, and you become the scapegoat. Another lesson of Capricorn. Don't be the scapegoat. So let's take off into the future another 30 years to your second Saturn return and find out how you do. Our numbers are 730415. Too far. Okay, he went retrograde before he got to you. You got lucky. You bought time. That's called buying time. You got extra time. 7304. It's too far. 153. Too far. There we go. All right. It is June the 11th, 2031. Just 10 days before your birthday in 2031. And have you got a mess going on here? So, you've brought the sun onto the fixed cross. There's only one thing to say about that. We're told to take up our cross and follow him. Saturn's lesson was Taurus, and you are now doing the Taurus. Venus, your heart is at home. Wow, heart at home. Are we retrograde? No. Great. No Mercury retrograde. No Venus retrograde. But you've got a problem with Mercury now, because Mercury is combust of the sun. So is Uranus, conjunct the sun. And Uranus not being connected to the chakras, there's change in your life here. And again, Uranus affects you when it's on the Earth or in an Earth sign. So Earth and mutable. So you're getting transformation now at this point. As a matter of fact, it's almost concluded because Uranus has been here for a while. You love home. Home is where the heart is. That's what that says. Mars in Virgo. I hate Mars here. I really do. I freaking hate Mars here. One, is he retrograde? He wants to be. Let me look at that. It looks like he's trying to turn around. So let me count the numbers. 0048.8. Yeah, he went retrograde. So you're suffering from depression now. You're suffering from depression. And it's not in a good place. Again, because he's on the mutable cross, it comes off as bipolar. Not just depression, but bipolar depression. Another problem here is when you see Mars on the mutable cross, especially on the feminine axis, which is Pisces and Virgo. Mars here is a negative male masculine influence in your life. Now, masculine influences can come from women. Right? Mama rules the house, so Mama wears the pants in the house, so Mama would be considered masculine there. So I can't tell you if it's a man or a woman. It's just a negative masculine influence in your life. It could even be a sibling, a child, a parent, a boss, somebody with authority over you, but a negative masculine influence, and you're suffering from depression, even to the point, because it's on the mutable cross, could be considered bipolar. So check that. Learn to channel Mars energy. Your Mars was in great places. Reach back to your natal chart. Reach back to to your first Saturn return. You find a way to channel that emotion, that bipolar emotion. It is an earth sign, so it is grounded, but it's also a mutable earth, so it can be bipolar. Jupiter, are you retrograde? Yep, so you're thinking outside of the box again, and now you're on the hero's journey. Again, we talked about that. This is the Hercules thing, right? Hercules finds out the guy he's working for is the bad guy. He's got to figure out a way to save the day, rescue the damsel in distress, remain the hero, not get killed, but not let the bad king remain in power. And remain the hero. So, and you're thinking outside the box there. Jupiter likes being there. That's Mars' house. Oh, wow. The moon, 65%, and waning in Aquarius conjunct Fomalhaut. Again, this is how other people see you. Again, this is the self-martyr. Nobody takes my life, I lay it down. Follow the Lamb wherever it goes. This has its good points and its bad points, because this is very loving. This is wonderful. Everybody wants to be seen as the Messiah, right? That one who sacrifices self for everything. But at the same time, nobody done this to you but you. Jesus said, no man takes my life, I lay it down. This is nobody's fault but your own. You're alone. You're alone here. You still don't let anybody see you. They don't get to see the Gemini that you are, or the Taurus that it's in you, or the cusp that you're Gundanta. You keep showing them something else. And this is what you're showing them now, which to me is awesome. But don't be the self-martyr for the wrong people. That was part of your lesson in Neptune, about your friends, and who is your friend and who is your enemy. And then you end up with this Mars over here. But I do have to say, this is kind of like a double-edged sword chart. You made this choice. You can change it. But here, because Saturn, the sun ended up in the house where Saturn's telling you what to do, that's Saturn saying you did it. You have come in alignment with Saturn. But your moon is still over by itself, and nobody sees it. You choose to be alone in your head or in your heart. But home is where the heart is, so you're definitely around your loved ones. You're at home around your loved ones. So this is not a I never knew you chart. It's got problems, but it's still a well done chart. It's enter into your golden age. And the sun here too. Mercury's combust, which is the way you make money, right? That's commerce. But definitely, again, about home and security. And there is Venus at home in Mama's house. That's Mama's house. Life ain't over here. Life is not over here. What else is in store? Your lesson's over. Your karmic Pisces. Wow. So religion. Pisces is illusion. Associated people. People you work with. People you go to school with. We talked about it. The black and white fish and the red fish. Right? This one's in the red fish. What you've got left is your association with people who believe the red words. And you pretty much emulate that here with what you show people. So you're already doing it before you even get to there. Take up your cross and follow me. You became him. This is what you're showing people. So to me, even though it's over here all alone, it's there for a reason, because it makes a statement of who you are. On the inside, on the outside, this on the inside, this bull-headed Taurus, but on the outside, on the same fixed cross, Thalem himself, the master himself. Kudos on that one. I actually have my moon and Venus here in my birth chart. So I know what the moon feels like here and how you become your own worst enemy, your self-martyr. Nobody does this to you but you. I get that. And then here I sit all alone as well. Right? It's just me and my dog. All right. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say. Yeah, I want to tell you about the books I'm sending you before I jump back to the beginning. I'm sending the Picatrix. It's on Moon Magic, Water, the Age of Cancer. I'm not going to send anything for Gemini because we already have that work. We have Thoth, Hermes, Buddha, and you already have a knack for that anyway. I'm sending Stellar Theology and Masonic Astronomy, Astrology in the Age of Taurus, Kabbalistic Astrology, Astrology in the Age of Fire, A Witness of the Stars, which is a Christian perspective. You'll be able to clearly see his influence by the fire god and the Masonic gods, right? You'll be able to see that difference between the black and white words and the red words, and watch it, because this guy's really hung up on Orion that writes this. He hasn't figured out the stone the builders rejected yet, Fomalhaut, and the third eye. He's caught up in doctrines and traditions of men. But it is the only book we have on a Christian perspective of astrology. We don't have one for the Age of Aquarius, but those red words in the New Testament and stuff from the past that's written in other traditions about the Golden Age. All right. Let's go back to the beginning. Back to June 21st, 1972. A lot of change in your life. On that mutable cross, there's no avoiding it. Whoops. All right. June 21st, 1972, Melrose Park, Illinois, at 8 a.m. in the morning. Oh, don't do that. Let's go to Gemini. All right, you rule air magic. It's a magic circle. It's red, and it's cut into 3 pieces of pie. In the first piece of the pie, you have a symbol of Gemini, a symbol of Mars, a symbol of Mercury, and a symbol of the Sun. And the second piece of the pie, you have a symbol of Aquarius. And in the third piece of pie, you have a symbol of Libra. Not a lot of power. All your power is in your first house. All your power is going to be your words and your deeds. Your words, Mercury, your deeds, actions, Mars. And they're very hermetic here, right? They're very Buddha-like to the beginning. Your Mars was in 2 great places. You should be able to reach back into your past and get a hold of that depression you're going to be facing. And you know, we all go through midlife crisis. So that's not unusual. You literally change places between your heart. Your Venus turns out great. Your Mars starts out great with your Venus bad. And then they swap places. Which is not unusual. You actually do see that quite a bit. How you give up one for the other. All right, now for your cross. Your cross is, of course, the mutable cross. Your axis bar up and down is masculine, and your cross bar is feminine. At the top, your color is red, so you got on like a red hat or red hair, a red bandana. That's how I look at it. So you have a symbol of Mercury, Mars, and the Sun. In your left hand is water, so you've got on like this white glove, right? On your left hand. It's feminine, and you have a symbol of Pisces. At your feet is fire, so you walk in fire. So at your feet is Sagittarius. It's gold. You walk on golden streets, or you walk in fire. That dualistic terminology there, one or the other. You have a symbol of Sagittarius and a symbol of Jupiter. And in your right hand is mutable earth. It's black, it's feminine. You have a symbol of Pluto, a symbol of Uranus, a symbol of Virgo, and a symbol of the moon. And you got a lot of energy to transmute on that mutable cross. I mean, it is loaded. Mercury, Mars, the Sun, the moon, Uranus, and Pluto. And Jupiter also on the mutable cross. It's stacked. And that just requires a lot of change. And all of those areas, it's demanding change. And you see the change as it happened. Alright, if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section below this video. I'll answer it if I know it. If I don't, we can put our heads together and see if we can find an answer. Don't wait too long. As I do charts, I start to lose them in my mind. But if you'll hit me the first day you watch it, I can reference that chart pretty quickly in my head and know the answers. Now, this video is unlisted. Only you have the link. You can download it and put it on your channel. You can share the link with whoever you like. It's your video to do with as you will. If you lose the link, I'll be glad to replace it for you anytime, but I do recommend you download it and keep it for further reference. I appreciate your donation to my channel, but I appreciate your patience with me even more in getting this to you. I want it to be done right, and I'm grateful for your patience most of all. I thank you. I hope this has helped you. Your donation definitely helps me.